Story 1. The Man in the Window. When I moved into my first apartment, I thought I'd finally found peace. A tiny place on the second floor, with just enough room for me and my books. Every night, I'd sit by the window to read. The street was usually quiet, almost too quiet. One night, as I glanced across the road, I noticed something strange. The apartment directly opposite mine had its blinds open a little, and there was someone standing there. At first, it didn't seem unusual. Just a man, tall, pale, barely visible through the sliver of open blinds. But what froze me in place was that he wasn't moving, not swaying, not shifting his weight, not even blinking, just staring. I shook it off. New neighborhood, maybe he was curious. But then it hit me. That apartment had been vacant for months, completely empty. The next night I peeked out again, and there he was, closer to the window this time, his head tilted, his face half hidden by shadow. But I knew. He was staring directly at me. I slammed my blinds shut and told myself not to look again. A week later, I came home late. Too tired to care, I fell into bed without checking the window. At 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of breathing, not mine, slow, heavy, inches from my face. I turned my head, heart hammering, and saw him, the man from the window, standing at the foot of my bed, grinning. Story 2. The Blind Man. My job as a caretaker was simple. Cook, clean, and keep my clients company. My newest one was an older man named Henry. He'd gone blind years ago after an accident, but he was polite, soft-spoken, always smiling. At night, he had a routine. He'd sit in his armchair facing the window while I read to him. Sometimes I wondered why he faced the glass when he couldn't see anything. But then, small things started bothering me. When I'd walk across the room quietly, he'd turn his head. Perfectly, following my movements. When I paused while reading, he'd tilt his face toward me as if he could see my lips move. One night, I gathered my courage. I stood silently behind him, raised my hand, and waved. And Henry raised his hand too, perfectly mirroring mine. My stomach dropped. I told myself it was a coincidence. But then, as I was leaving, he said something that made my blood run cold. "You forgot your keys." I checked my bag. My keys were exactly where they always were. He couldn't have known that. The next day, I tried again. I sat in silence, not reading, not speaking. And after a long pause, Henry whispered, "I like it better when you smile." That's when I knew. Henry wasn't blind, and he had been watching me the entire time. Story 3. The Wrong Car. I worked late nights, and the parking lot was always empty by the time I clocked out. That night, the lot was lit only by a single flickering street lamp. My car sat just beneath it. I quickened my pace, unlocked the door, and slid into the driver's seat. The moment I closed the door, something felt off. The air was heavy, humid, carrying the sharp smell of cigarette smoke. But I don't smoke. I adjusted the mirror and froze. In the back seat, half hidden in the shadows, was a man. Before I could scream, his hand shot forward, pressing hard over my mouth. A knife gleamed in his other hand. "Drive," he whispered. My hands shook on the wheel as I obeyed. Every nerve screamed at me to slam the door open and run, but the cold blade against my neck kept me frozen. I don't remember the drive, only the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. At some point, headlights appeared behind us. Another car closing in. I took a chance. I slammed on the brakes hard. The man was thrown forward. I flung open my door and bolted into the road, waving frantically. The car behind stopped, its horn blaring, and the man in my back seat ran into the darkness. They never caught him. To this day, I check the backseat of my car. Every single night. Because I know he's still out there, waiting for me to forget. Which story unsettled you most tonight? The man in the window, the caretaker's not-so-blind client, or the stranger in the back seat? Let me know before you turn out the lights.